Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cobra here, and today we have some very intriguing Destiny 2 news and information. Our first topic is actually concerning the light level cap in Destiny 2. At this point, all screenshots of in-game loadouts have led us to believe that the light level cap is going to be 200. However, in IGN's newest video covering Bungie's vision for Destiny 2, we actually see for a brief second two exotics that are at 300 light. Prior to this, we have not seen anything over 200 light, however I believe this busts the assumption that 200 light is the cap and confirms the light level cap in Destiny 2 will be 300. This is pretty crazy news because that means there will actually be a longer grind available when the game launches, which is great because it means a lot more playtime with a purpose, which is something Destiny 1 really struggled with. Next up, let's actually take a look at the two exotics we caught a glimpse of. The first is a submachine gun called the Risk Runner. A very fitting name for a rushing SMG, however by looking at all the stats, this could actually be the opposite. The impact stat seems to line up with an SMG, but the range, stability, and reload speed stats are all very unlike stereotypical SMGs. To be fair, this is no stereotypical SMG, it's an exotic for crying out loud, but seeing an SMG with that range is pretty insane. That is definitely above average range as well as above average stability. Most guns with high fire rates, such as SMGs, usually have lower stability, so it's very unusual to see these stats on an SMG. Another awkward stat for this SMG is the abysmal reload speed. In most games, SMGs are meant for rushing and close quarter combat, so they usually have a faster reload speed to keep up with the fast playstyle. So this is definitely a very interesting SMG, which in my opinion is more built like an auto rifle than an SMG, so I'm kinda confused about the class this weapon was actually put into. I'll come back to the perks in just a second because I have an interesting theory about them as well, but for now we're going to move on to the second exotic we get to see. The second exotic is the SunShot hand cannon. All the stats line up pretty well, and this actually looks like a great hand cannon. High impact and quick reload speeds coupled with pretty good range and great handling makes for a great hand cannon. The only downside this appears to have is the slow reload, however I don't know what else you'd expect with a hand cannon with those stats. So the SunShot definitely looks like a hand cannon you'll be excited to get when the full game is released. Moving on, I actually believe we got our first look at the new mod system in Destiny 2 with these two exotics and the other guns featured in this loadout. If we take a look at the perk section of these two exotics, you can tell that the top perk is definitely different looking than the other perk. The top perk is highlighted on both. The icons look more simplistic but at the same time stand out a little bit, and the description is much more straightforward than the description of the second perk. So I believe the first perk is actually the new mods. The first slot seems much more universal than the second slot, which would fit the description of mods that you'd be able to put on multiple different weapons. I feel like before we learned about Destiny 2 not having random rolls, the argument could be made that the top perk was a set perk and the second was a roll. However, with confirmation that weapons will no longer have random rolls, that argument is invalid. So I believe the most logical explanation for the different looks of these two is the top is the new mods that have been added into Destiny 2. To add to all these crazy theories and assumptions, I have another regarding what light actually could be called in Destiny 2. This first screenshot is the E3 build of Destiny 2, and as you can see in the loadout screen, it says light above the number. This looks fairly normal and I did not put much thought into it at first, but then in IGN's video I mentioned earlier, we see this screenshot. As you can see in the current build of Destiny 2, light has actually been changed to power. This really can only mean two things. First off, it can mean Bungie decided to change the name since the light was actually taken away from us in Destiny 2. It doesn't make much sense for the light to be taken away in the story, but to still call that stat light. However, I do not believe this theory is true because I don't think they would just switch that up this late in the game's development. The theory I currently believe and find the most logical is that we actually start off with the stat being called power. However, when we get our light back in game, the stat will switch to say light. This solves the problem I had with the other theory because if the second theory is correct, they wouldn't have changed the name this late in development. The different names could be explained by these two accounts simply being at different points in the game. The second theory also fits because there's no awkwardness between having a stat called light but our light being taken away. Next up, we get even more news and speculation from this one screenshot. If you notice, it actually says temp over the slot where our ghost goes. So temp obviously stands for temporary, and this could mean, like our light, that we have to earn our ghost instead of starting out with it. This particular theory has floated around the community, and this temp icon could be a temporary placeholder till we unlock our ghost in Destiny 2. And finally, our last bit of news and information comes yet again from this infamous screenshot. But as you can see in the top left, there are only 2 subclass slots available. Not too long ago, we saw this image with 3 subclasses. However, it looks as if the current build of the game only features 2 subclasses. If this is true, I'll be very disappointed, assuming this means the Taken King subclasses will most likely not be in the game, or at least not at launch. On the other hand, like other things I've mentioned in this video, it's quite possible we have to do some sort of quest to acquire the 3rd subclass. However, it is a bit discouraging that the slot has been completely taken out of the game. Even in Destiny 1, there was always 3 subclass slots, so the fact that they've most likely gone in and removed the slot completely is discouraging. Anyway, that's all the news I got for you guys today. Make sure to check out my other Destiny 2 news videos, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to never miss a video and stay up to date with all the news for Destiny 2. But anyway guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.